high blood pressure, and it can also impair your brain function and your memory. And the problem with fried food, one of the problems with fried foods is that they are very low in fiber and they take much longer for the body to digest. I know we all love our fried goodies, but now listen, we've got air fryers, you have options. So you can always cook your food in an air fryer. I am not a fan of an air fryer just because they're big and take up so much space. I do all of my fried foods in the oven. I actually just do oven fried. So you can grill food, you can barbecue. There's other options other than frying. Also, even when it comes to your potatoes, if you are a French fry addict, you make your oven fried, you can either make them in the oven or you can make them in the air fryer. There have been studies that show that just eating fried foods once a week gives you a 12% increased risk of heart disease. So, and that's just eating once a week. So if you're eating fried foods several times a week, then you're at greater risk for a heart disease. Next thing I want to talk about are processed foods and fast foods, because we have, like Vonda said, we're cutting corners and we've gotten lazier and we buy these frozen foods, we buy fast food, and processed foods and fast foods are just as addictive as cigarettes, as drugs, and as alcohol. And the problem with most of those foods, they contain ingredients that we can't pronounce. And I always say if you can't pronounce it, your body doesn't recognize it. And so when you look at some of these frozen pizzas or frozen lasagna or the food that you get at some of the fast food restaurants, there's chemicals in there that we don't know anything about. And much like the fried foods, consuming too much processed foods or fast foods leads to obesity, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, increased risk of cancer. You're eating foods that really have no nutritional value. Most of the time they are very high in calories, and they are addicting, and they are habit forming, not to mention the artificial ingredients that are in the foods. When I was doing my research, I also found several articles that said there are over 5,000 substances that they put in processed foods that have never been tested, only by the companies that are using them, so they're not approved by the FDA. We don't know what those 5,000 substances are, but most of them are things that cause us to get addicted to the food. And an example of that is McDonald's French fries. There's a chemical in McDonald's French fries. You think you're addicted to the French fry, but you're actually addicted to the chemical. Mm. And so we have to really start eliminating processed foods. And I will say the best way to break the addiction of processed foods and fast food is by elimination, because the less you eat of it, the less you're going to crave. And you just have to make sure that, like say if you love French fries, there's always a healthier option. If like I love tacos, I have tacos probably 2 or 3 times a week. Tacos don't have to be fattening, but you've got to take your favorite foods and learn how to make those in a healthier way without jeopardizing your health. I know a lot of times, people say, well, I don't have time to cook. And the reality is we have time for the things that are important to us. And we need to make time to start preparing our own foods. All the corners that we are cutting, the fast foods, the processed foods, the corners that we are cutting is actually cutting our life short. And so you have to be intentional about what you're putting in your body. You've got to be intentional about making sure that you're eating foods that are, that are high in nutrition, and just set yourself up for success. One of the things that I want to say is to plan your menus, plan ahead. I make my menu for the whole week. So I already have my menu for next week. I already have it written down. Plan ahead, write your menu out, make sure that you have all those items in your house. I'm not a huge fan of meal prepping because I'm a vegetarian. I don't like my vegetables sitting around for 2 or 3 days. I don't really like things like that sitting around, but I will do things like right now, today I cooked, I made a pot of black rice. I did some roasted red potatoes, so I'll do things like that. Prep as much food as you can ahead of time. Like when it comes to fresh vegetables, I have them already chopped up, they're not cooked, but that way you're not starting your meal from scratch. And the more things you already have in place, then the easier it will be for you to make your meals. So now I want to give you just talk about like how much fruit we should be eating, how many vegetables you should be eating on a daily basis. When it comes to fruit, you need to be eating 4 to 5 servings of fresh fruit. So I'm not talking about fruit in the cobbler. I'm not talking about fruit in the can. I'm not talking about that kind of fruit. I'm talking fresh fruit. And you know, a lot of times I hear people say, "Well, I don't eat fruit because it's high in sugar." But you ate that cake, you ate that donut, you ate the cookie, and you didn't think anything about that sugar. And you have to understand the sugar that's in fruit and the sugar that's in cake, it's not the same type of sugar. And you want to make sure that you're eating fruit because the nutrients that you're getting in fruit, you can't get in vegetables. And so, you know, a lot of times when these diets that eliminate whole food groups, you can only do those for so many weeks because the reality is you need a balanced diet because the nutrients that you get in fruit, you can't get in vegetables. The nutrients that you get in vegetables, you can't get in fruit and vice versa. So by, you know, not eating fruit, you're actually harming your body. And so you want to make sure that you're eating fruit. Fruit actually helps to remove toxins from the body. It helps to regulate your blood pressure. It helps to regulate your blood sugar levels. And not eating enough fruit actually over time will compromise your immune system. You know, as we were talking about with COVID, and one of the things we were hearing throughout that whole time was you got to have a strong immune system. And I know a lot of people that very healthy fared very well. I know a lot of people that were unhealthy that did not do so well. And I'm not blaming them, but it's just having a strong immune system is more than just, oh, I can, you know, run 5 miles. No, you want to be able, if once you, if your body, you get, a cold or something, you want to be able to fight that off. But when you're not eating properly, you already put your body at risk, and then God forbid you get a cold or you get the flu, it just makes it that much harder for you to fight that off. The same when it comes to fresh vegetables.